Hello and welcome. I'm Anastasia Palacios and I am so excited for what's about to happen. I'm having a conversation today with the Tim Smith. Yes, if you have been on your Instagram, your YouTube, or your TikTok, you know this man. He has certainly taken the real estate game in the Bahamas and the world at large truly by storm. And I say the world at large because Tim is actually one of the top 1%. That's correct. 1% real estate agents for Better Homes and Gardens, the global international real estate firm. And today we're going to be talking with him about how he achieved that success. Did it always look like that? Did he always know that he could do it? And then what does it take to maintain that success? It is going to be a dynamic episode. So make sure that you're locked in and be sure to share this link with someone that needs it. All right, Tim.
Star, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to be here with you, to learn more about you and your process and hopefully to inspire some people today with the conversation that we have. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm glad we got to get together and do this. I'm really excited to have this conversation. So let's see where we take it.
Yeah, indeed. I really actually want to kind of start where we are. I want to congratulate you. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Top 1%. And this is not the first year you've done this. This is actually your second year being in the top 1% at Better Homes and Gardens. How does that feel?
Yeah, for me, I think last year was very shocking for me that I ranked within the top 1%. So it really hit me last year of what I actually was accomplishing on a world level. And I think just accomplishing it again this year really solidified it for me, solidified it for everyone who follows me, supports me, that it wasn't just a year that I did a couple of big deals that put me in that top 1%. Is something that I could do over and over and consistently do on a consistent basis.
That's awesome. So in the Bahamas, we love track and field.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have like our golden girls, we have like our bronze knights, our silver knights. And so we make a big deal about people who are able to do the repeat. And you've done the repeat. You've shown that it's possible to do this again and again. What characteristics do you think it takes for somebody to make it to the top 1% in real estate? And I want you to give us some context with that, because unless people are in the field, they may not know what that even means. Like, to be in the top 1% requires some things. So could you break that down for us?
Yeah, I think real estate in the Bahamas is a very competitive industry, but on a world level, it's just super competitive. There's tons of real estate agents throughout the world. And I think, for you to really rank up in the top 1%, it takes a lot of discipline. A lot of hard work goes into it. A lot of people don't really know how much time and effort really goes into your day-to-day. I think a lot of people look at real estate as a really flexible job. You choose your own hours. But, for me personally, for me to get to where I am today, my schedule is crazy. A lot of people don't know the kind of work that I have to put in, except for the people that are really close to me. Throughout the week, it just requires me to work nonstop. And I'm lucky that I'm in a position to do that. I don't have any kids. I don't have any responsibilities. I'm single.
So yes, he did say he was single. Tim, let's focus though on what's really important. And you said a lot of stuff there. You talked about discipline. You talked about like not being available to everyone all the time. What do you actually spend your time doing? Is it I'm showing houses? Is it like networking in the background? Are you combing through the paper and looking for sales? Are you at a bar after selling a property? I really want you to break down what that looks like, because I think, like you said, many people think real estate is just, you sell a house, you get a big check, and then you can do whatever you want. And not enough people understand this is not some form of passive stream of income. You actually have to put time into this, but I want to quantify that time for people. So what does that look like?
So my everyday, I started probably about 7 o'clock in the morning, and that starts with emails, answering any calls that I get. It'll shock you the times that people call you in the day. I mean, right as I wake up, my phone starts to ring sometimes, but I try to get as much as I can out of the way in the morning. At some point in the day, I'm always in the office. I check in with my team, stuff like that. But, throughout the day, I'm constantly on the road. I would say about 80% of my day is spent in the car, driving to appointments, either showing houses, meeting people for appointments, just speaking about their real estate needs. And then outside of that, it's just a lot of phone calls, emails, and that takes me until probably close to when I go to bed. Outside of that, I'm a very active gym enthusiast. I go to the gym probably about 6 times a week, and I think it's important for me to really keep my body active and for me to keep my focus. So I definitely involve myself in the gym. So outside of work, the gym, I would say I probably only get about 2 hours, 3 hours of free time a day outside of the gym, working, eating, and sleeping. So it's just an incredible thing when you think back to that's what's all involved.
Yeah. Okay. So we start at 7 a.m, probably go until as late as 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And we're answering emails, meeting people, checking in with the team at the office to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Did you always imagine you would spend your time like this?
I didn't. And, it's crazy. I didn't imagine myself in real estate either. It's just something that I kind of stumbled into. When I started out, I went to school for accounting. I came back home. I worked at a Big Four accounting firm all through college. And I came back home and I worked at an accounting firm for 2 years. And I was in my early 20s and I just didn't envision that I was going to spend the rest of my 20s at doing that kind of work. I was down low in the hotels, doing a lot of tedious paperwork, and I just wasn't enjoying myself. And I'm a very decisive person. So I just said, at the end of that year, I said, I'm going to make a switch. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And I just had to trust the process. And I was lucky enough that I met the founder and CEO of the company that I work for and I'm now business partners with in Mario Carey. And it just really opened up a great opportunity for me, as well as I gained a huge mentor, not only in business, but also in life. So I'm really grateful for that. And it's just become something that I'm super passionate about. And it requires a lot of passion for something for you to invest that kind of time in it.
Yeah. So let's go back, because you said like 3 different things I want to touch on there.
Yeah.
The first is that you actually went to school for accounting, worked with Big Four throughout college, went into actually working with them, and then that was not what you envisioned. So talk to me about that. Like, what about accounting isn't exciting?
Yeah, I think accounting is just a very prestigious occupation. A Big Four accounting firm is a prestigious place to work. And I think a lot of people just look at it and aspire to work at a prestigious place and a prestigious job. Something else that played into it is also that both of my parents are accountants by trade. My mom is still an accountant. My dad, didn't stay in accounting just like me. He took a career change. But, I went into a accounting forum and we had to take a personality test. And after the personality test, everyone who had the same results had to kind of go to one corner of the room. I was one of 2 people who had the same personality type, and there was probably about 50 people in the room.
Wow.
So that was a sign from then that, what is going on here? And this was the start of my accounting career. So I think naturally, I just came to the conclusion very quickly, because a lot of people who I worked with at the firm left after me. Maybe it took a couple of years, but I was just able to identify very early on that it wasn't for me.
Now, I want to speak to that, though, because that requires courage, right? It requires courage to step away from what your parents have done. It requires courage to step away from what you've trained to do. And many of us who get the opportunity to go to university or go to college, we start out with one path. We're only 15, 16 when we make these decisions, but it's like, okay, this is what I studied. What else can I do? So what sort of courage, like what sort of internal communication did you have to have with yourself to say, get out of this box, this literal box I'm in, putting numbers in a spreadsheet and find something different? And real estate didn't come automatically. You did some other things in between. So what sort of courage and like personal mindset talks did you have to have with yourself to move, to actually take action and do something different?
Yeah, I think it took a lot of courage. It also took a lot of self-confidence to make that kind of decision, because a lot of people around me at the time, including my mother, who was very important in my life, didn't really understand my decision to leave a company of that caliber and just to make a completely different switch without having a direct plan, right? So for me, I think, hearing in my ear, my mom is saying, you know, are you sure this is what you want to do? Also, I had friends who were kind of like, you know, Tim, what's going on here, right? I had a few people who were very close to me that actually said, you know, I think you're stupid for leaving this job. But I just had the confidence at that time, and my mind was made up. Again, I'm very decisive. And I just said, I can't spend the rest of my 20s like this. I deserve something bigger than this. I know what I'm capable of doing. I deserve better than this. And, you know, I left, and, you know, just God had a plan for me to go in the direction that I went in. And I think as we sit here today, I think we could all say that it was the right decision.
Definitely. We can say that for sure. But I really want our viewing audience to pay attention to that. You know, Tim keeps referencing these words like confidence. You talk about God, which I love to hear, because sometimes the plan is bigger than you can see.
For sure.
And I love that you said, I didn't know what the plan was. I just know this wasn't it, right? And I think sometimes many of us are afraid to move because we can't see the whole staircase. But I love that quote that says, you know, you may not see the whole staircase, but take the first step.
Definitely.
And if you take the first step, then at least you'll go in another direction. And so I really think that's really important. If you're in a position now where you know this is not what you ought to do, the thing that you are doing is draining you, even if you studied for it, then this may be a sign for you that there's another path to take. And your path was not straight to real estate. You actually started a business with friends.
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
So I started a business with friends. I have a very entrepreneurial mind. Came up with a business concept of truck rentals. We were the only company in the Bahamas doing it at the time. And I just saw a thriving business in the United States. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I thought that it would do well here. We didn't have the service. So I put 4 friends together. We pooled our money to buy 1 truck. That fleet then turned to 7 over the course of 4 years, and it was a very thriving business that a lot of people didn't realize they had a need for.
All right, and so you're in this space over these 4 years. You've left big accounting, and I just want to find out. You are an accountant. Did you save any money before you left big accounting?
Yeah, so I mean, I consider myself a very responsible spender.
Better than me.
I think that I'm a huge numbers guy. So when I left the accounting firm, I had $30,000 in my bank account. And I always recommend, because a lot of people ask me for advice when it comes to getting into real estate, because typically when you're getting into real estate, you're leaving some sort of other job, which is what I find. So I always say you probably want to have some cushion, some savings, because real estate is an industry that takes a little bit of time for you to get going. It could take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So it's always good to have some sort of savings. And that's what I did.
Yeah. So I want to bring that up because I remember wanting to make a switch. I've been on my own as an entrepreneur for the last 8 or 9 years. And I kind of wanted to get out of marketing, more into corporate training, and my mentor, and this is why it's so important to have those, and we'll talk more about yours shortly. She's like, listen, you cannot leave this client unless you save $20,000. And I was like, oh, but I'm ready now. And she's like, yeah. But we all have feelings, and then there's facts. Like, you need to save money in order to make a move, because if not, you put so much pressure on yourself that you're probably going to end up failing anyway. So I listened to her, and then the pandemic hit. And I was just so grateful because I'd saved the money that she told me to save. Now, you run through $20,000 very quickly.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, like, it was so important to take that step. And so for those of you that are considering whether it's going into real estate or launching your own business, I think that's really good advice from Tim, who's in the 1%, to save some money, right? To last on that job as long as you can, saving what you can so that you can do the thing that you want to do without the pressure that comes with having to make ends meet immediately. All right, Tim. So you start the trucking business with your friends. Are you still in that business today?
No, we unfortunately ended that business. That was probably about a year ago.
Okay. And is the friendship still intact?
Yes, very intact. And I think that was something that was important to us is, you know, sometimes you get into business with friends and you have some tension there. And I think for me, the friendship was way more important than that business. So we decided to just end it, liquidate it, and continue on as really great friends.
Okay. Any advice you would give to anyone wanting to go in business with friends? Like, is there one thing that you learned about that you would want people to know as they consider maybe that move for their own lives?
I would say we had a decent run in that business. I could say I truly trust everyone who I went into business with, but I think trust is the huge thing when going into business with friends. I think You never want to be questioning anyone you're in business with. So that would be my number one advice to that. Also, make sure that everyone is 100% in it, is passionate about it. I think starting a business just for the money is not the greatest approach. Just make sure that there's some level of passion in it, because starting a business is tough and it's going to take you years to grow that business. And you want to have somebody who's passionate about it, that's going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I think the passion is important. And I love that you say like going into stuff for the money. And, you know, now that I'm a bit older and a little wiser, all of 35, y'all, wow. I've come to realize that whenever I do things just for the money, it rarely works out. Like
it doesn't.
It's never actually worked out. But if it's led by something more than the money, and money is important, let's make this very clear. Tim is in the 1%. He can tell you that. But if it's the only driving force, it will not work. It has to have other factors related to it. There has to be love there. There has to be communication there. There has to be a willingness and desire to grow. But if it's only just money, it's not never worked out for me. I don't know.
It'll never work.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get into real estate because they see the commissions.
Yeah.
They see the money that's possible to be made. And I think me personally, I never really count commissions.
Okay.
I always just have my mind focused on the goal, and that's to help clients and to get the deal across the finish line.
Okay.
Never start counting money. I feel just like what you said, when it's all about the money and you're having the money as the focus of the deal or the work, it gets you sidetracked. It doesn't allow you to be genuine. It doesn't allow you to have your client's best interest at heart. So I'll say I'm confident that I do that, and I think it's given me a level of success that people are able to see as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And when I kind of researched, you know, like, well, what does it take to be in the top 1%? Those are the things that they said. Like, you have to have excellent client relationships. You have to be able to network. You have to be able to make people feel as if you're interested in them. And of course, that comes from a genuine place. And obviously for you, it's worked out. But we're back at 23 now. You've launched this business and this trucking company with friends. You're still kind of looking around to see what else is possible. And then what led you to real estate? Was it a conversation with these same friends? Was it like, what made you say, maybe that's something I can do?
So at the time, you know, I had started the truck rental company, and then I needed another source of income. So I was looking of ways to diversify my streams of income, and real estate came up in conversation. And I was introduced to Mario Carey at the time. You know, I was 23, no experience, very young. I look very young.
Still do.
So, yeah. So, you know, I think he did have some hesitations at that point, because even now I experience it a lot. I get about 10 people a week asking me, oh, I want to get into real estate. So you have to make yourself stand out and form a genuine relationship with somebody who's in the field, and let them know what kind of person you are, that you're serious about it, your work ethic, what you want to do it for. So I think over meeting with him a few times, he really identified in me that I was somebody serious who had a lot of potential, and he gave me a shot. So that was my way into real estate.
Yeah. And has Mario continued to be like a mentor for you, sort of a guiding light in this space?
Yeah, I would say Mario has been great to me. I don't know what he saw in me, but he definitely took me under his wing. I think, you know, me and him definitely share a lot of the same interests. We're pretty alike, and in terms of the way that we think, as in terms of the way that we work, we both work very hard. And I think he identified that in me early on, and just wanted to groom me, and he treated me a bit different than I could see he treated a lot of people. And I think that's because he saw my work ethic and just how much dedication I had to succeed in this business.
Yeah. I kind of want to just pause here just for our audience, because sometimes we hear a story like this and it may be hard for us to pull why it's important. But one of the reasons you're so successful, Mario was in the 1% before. And obviously, as your mentor, he has guided you along a pathway that allows you to be in the 1% as well. And this is the beauty of mentorship. And so many of us can get frustrated in the positions that we're in because we don't have anyone to take us to the next place. But my mentor always says, you get behind someone who's 10 steps ahead of you and you run until you're on the same like wavelength, right? And then you find someone else who's 10 steps ahead and you keep going. And I just think that's so important for everyone who wants success in their life, that you have to have mentors. But you also have to be a good mentee. And that's what I hear you describing. Like, the fact that you were passionate, that you continued to try to meet with him, that you sought him out, that you tried to make sure that your interests were aligned, and that your work ethic showed that you were worth investing in. And so I just want to kind of put that out there for our audience as well, that you have to kind of be the person that you want to mentor you. You have to invest in yourself and be willing to pursue them.
For sure. And I think the value, like you said, in having a mentor is that you are able to be guided, as well as you don't have to make a lot of the mistakes that you would make if you're on your own. It's not just a sink or swim.
Yeah.
They've already lived where you're at in your moment and in your career. Mario's about 40 to 45 years into real estate. So he always gave me a lot of advice and things I came across, hurdles that I ran into in my real estate career. And I was able to fast track my career because I wasn't making a lot of the mistakes that he kind of coached me through not making early on. So to your point, I think it's important to have those mentors in your life if you really want to kind of fast track your trajectory in any industry.
So people may watch this and they may say, that boy nice looking, man. He's go to the gym and thing, like, favor on him. Like, he don't have my struggle, right? And unfortunately, that's what some people feel. They look at people and say success is automatically his. He been to college. He saved $30,000. Has there ever been, and you mentioned these hurdles that you ran into that Mario helped to coach you through or guide you through. What are some of maybe the lowest points for you, or times when you felt like this dream would not work out? Have you ever had any of those moments?
Yeah, I think I've always had doubts. And again, that comes back to the importance of having a great mentor. Is they're able to talk you out of that when you're feeling in your head and you're like, oh, is this working for me? So that's important. But I think like Mario's come from humble beginnings. I've come from humble beginnings. I didn't grow up with money. And luxury real estate is a portion of the industry that's dominated by only a certain select few. So it's very hard to break into luxury real estate. I'll say that first and foremost. But I'm grateful I was able to make my way into luxury real estate, and just the pathway there was tough. I think a lot of people look at where I am now and don't realize that it took me about 2 to 3 years to really start getting my name out there. When I first got into real estate, people were like, oh, you're in real estate. Oh, you're so young. I hadn't really proven myself. And, so we talk about how saving is important before getting into real estate. But you mentioned earlier, $30,000, you could run through that pretty quickly. So, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to real estate, when it comes to mental pressure, but also financial pressure. And I think that's what weeds a lot of people out in those first couple of years. So, I came in with $30,000, but it came to a point in my first 2 years where I had literally less than $1 in my account.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. I remember sitting there at the time I was living with my mother, and I'm the kind of person I refuse to ask people for money. It actually pains me to ask people for money. And I was sitting at the dining room table. My mom comes home from work, and my hair was just so long at this point, right?
Yeah.
I was sitting there and she said, why is your hair so long? Why you look like that? And I didn't have it in me to tell her that I was running so low on funds
That you couldn't cut your hair?
that I couldn't cut my hair.
Wow.
To cut my hair cost $25.
Wow.
And that was the point that she really understood I was in a bad place.
Yeah.
So she lent me $1,000, and that carried me over until I got my next commission check. And that's something huge that a lot of people don't realize, is that you're not salary based, right? So in real estate, you don't know, unless you have a really good pipeline of deals going, which I'm fortunate that I'm in now. You don't know when the next check is coming. Sometimes deals take 6 months to a year to close. Some close quickly, but that's the rare cases, right? So in that moment, I had a few deals that were under contract, but it was probably about at least a month and a half to 2 months until those deals were going to close. So fortunately enough, she gave me that money, held me over, and I ended that year in a great situation. But, sometimes I think you really have to hit your bottom and stick through it. get through the rough waters, and you just don't know where life is going to take you once you don't quit.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I did do a little tear, but I had to stop because makeup. Hello. Yeah. But no, I think so many of our viewers today would have had a moment like that, right? Whether it was less than $1 or something else that you needed that you just couldn't get because you just didn't have the funds. How did that teach you to manage money moving forward?
That moment was so strong for me because since I was in high school, my rule was I never wanted to have less than $1,000 in my bank account. And until that point, I never did.
Right.
So for me, I took a screenshot of my bank balance. It was 97 cents. And I still have it on my computer to this day.
Wow.
Because anytime I need inspiration, I pull it up to let me know how far I've come.
Wow.
Also, it's a reminder for me where I'm never going to get back to.
Wow.
So I think I'm a very responsible spender. I never do anything I can't afford to do. A lot of people around me call me cheap. I don't think I'm cheap, but I am. I've been able to manage my money very well, and I have a simple. I like simple things. I don't wear a lot of designer clothes. Yeah. I like to do nice things, but I always do everything in reason and what I could afford to do.
Yeah, I think that's powerful advice. And I think especially for those Bahamians watching this, we've not always had the best culture around money. We are, for many of us, the first generation that can actually afford to do various things. The world has changed. We have more access. And so I just really want to echo Tim's words, because I think sometimes we can get frustrated by our lack or what we want, but we've not yet taken the opportunity to be responsible for what we do have. And so I just think that those points are very valid, Tim. And I made a joke earlier in the podcast talking about not being the most responsible spender, but I've really had to learn over the last few years, especially as a parent, how to be wiser with funds, especially as an entrepreneur. When you, like you say, you don't know when the next check is gonna come. So you really have to be able to manage your money, your time, all of it really well. All right, so we had that low point in your life. The commissions kept coming. What do you think makes you a standout agent? You put in the time, yes. You've had a great mentor, yes. But what else is there that makes people want to say, call Tim Smith? What is it about you?
Yeah, I think the feedback I get from a lot of my clients is that, one, they know how hard I work. They're like, Tim, I don't know, are you sleeping? It's just always on the go. They could call me at 11 o'clock at night. I'll answer the phone. So just that availability to my clients, I think, is something that they like. I think I'm very genuine. That a lot of people identify, especially people who come from wealth. You typically see that they have a lot of people hounding them down, trying to get something out of them. And they don't ever get that feeling from me because, again, as I said earlier in the podcast, it's not a money thing for me. It's just kind of getting the goal in mind that you want to get this deal done for people and getting it across the finish line and just helping people genuinely. So I don't feel like anyone gets any distrust from me that I don't have their best intentions in mind. I think that's important for a lot of people. And then just my results. I think when selling a property, a lot of people see that I've taken it to a level that a lot of people haven't taken it. I'm kind of just disrupting the industry, the way that I market, the way that I move, the way that I'm doing social media, the way that I'm doing events. It's something that a lot of people haven't seen, because in luxury real estate, the reality is a lot of the people and big players are older. So now you have a young Bahamian in this space that's really just shaking things up. And I think a lot of people just appreciate that change and appreciate what I'm doing. So a few years ago, people were just giving me a shot, testing me out, but now I've turned into the guy who's the go-getter, the go-to guy, and really the real estate agent that a lot of people know as gets results.
Yeah, get results. I love that. But I also love that you use the word disruption. And disruption is big because our world has been disrupted. Just AI alone in the last 2 years and what it has done, even in careers like mine, it's been disruptive. So talk to me about that. Like, what inspired you to get into sharing tips on social media? What makes you keep going as it relates to that? Because it is so different than traditionally what other people would have done. What was the light bulb that said, there's a way for me here?
I think I took I watch a lot. I'm on the internet quite a bit. I watch a lot of YouTube. I like to look at what other people around the world in my industry are doing, how they're having success, and what are they doing to have that success. And I noticed that a lot of the big players in the United States in these markets like Miami, Los Angeles, New York, Europe, they have these huge, massive brands, their personal brand, aside from their company. And it's just so in your face. Like, you have no choice but to see them. And I think I've taken that approach through my efforts on social media. We're lucky that we're in a day and age where everybody's in their phones, everyone's in their computers. So how am I going to efficiently network, be in front of as many people as possible? Because I can't be in front of everybody every day. I just don't have that kind of capacity. So I took it from an internet standpoint where I'm going to produce so much content about real estate, learning real estate, what I'm doing in real estate, the homes I'm selling, and I'm going to put it in your phone. So you have no choice but to see it. And I'm across every platform. It's just like flooding the internet with content that you have no ability to not think about real estate and my name not come up in your subconscious. That's been my strategy and my approach. And I think it's been doing well. I think a lot of places I go in the Bahamas, it's not really a room I walk in and somebody doesn't know I'm involved in real estate.
Yeah. So you've had a tremendous success. You're only 30. You have disrupted the way that real estate's been done, inspiring other people to get on camera now and to use social media like you have. You do look different than what we know luxury real estate to look like in the Bahamas. What else is left? Like, what is the hope for the future? What is the goal? Do you just want to keep hitting the target of 1%? Talk to me about what the future of Tim in real estate looks like.
Yeah, I think I just take it in steps. I don't know what the future holds. I have huge goals. I don't share a lot of my goals with a lot of people because I think a lot of people, when I speak, sometimes think I'm crazy.
Fair enough.
Just how large my goals are and what I want to accomplish and what I honestly believe I can accomplish. I don't think if we were speaking 5-6 years ago and I'd say I was where I am today, a lot of people wouldn't have assumed it. I may not even have assumed it. But for me, I know I'm going to be in this industry in terms of selling and renting real estate for a very long time. I'm going to be involved in real estate in some shape or form, probably for the rest of my life, whether it's investing, developing. It might not be sales and rentals for the rest of my life, but in some shape or form, I'm going to be involved in real estate. In terms of my goals, I've done the top 1% in the world for the last 2 years. I want to continue on that trajectory, but I also want to be number one in the brand. I think that's very doable in the next couple of years. I want to be number one in the Bahamas, and I just want to be a force on a global scale. When you talk about the top real estate agents in the world, does Timothy Smith's name come up?
Boom. I love it. This is what it's about. Set the goal, babe. Right division, make it plain. So we talked a lot about career stuff, but we are whole human beings, and career is only going to be as good as some of the other aspects of our lives. What keeps you motivated in terms of mindset? What do you read? Who do you listen to? Who should we be listening to and reading if we want to kind of set that same sort of force in the world goal as you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people ask, what is your why? What motivates you? For me, I think I didn't grow up around money. I didn't come from money. But I did have a very good life growing up. And that came from the hard work of my mother, who I grew up around. Still to this day, she works super hard. I mean, when I lived with her, I would be up until 1 o'clock in the morning working on real estate stuff, and she'd be right there working as well. So it's crazy. But I know she had to work that hard so that her goal was that her kids had a better life than her. I want to see the same for my family. But I think creating generational wealth is super important for me. That concept is very important. And I just want not just my kids, but their kids to benefit from some of the work that I've done today, to put them in a better position to make their life not as hard, or for them not to have to work as hard to get to the places and achieve the goals that they want to achieve. So I think that's a big thing about me, why I work so hard. Something that also, for me that is frustrating is I don't like to ask for money. In this world, there's things that I want to do, and I don't like it to be restricted for me because I can't afford it. Yeah. Right? So with that comes hard work. You have to be able to make money to do things in this world. And I just want to be able to live in this world and do the things that I want to do and be able to afford it. So I think now is the time that I work hard. And hopefully, if all goes to plan, in my 40s and my 50s, I can reap the rewards.
Awesome. And then again, how do you, I know you're in the gym, you're keeping that part of your body physically right. What's keeping you spiritually motivated? What are you pouring into yourself? Like in the car, is it all calls and business deals? Are you listening to a podcast? When you up until 2 a.m, is it all just working emails? Or are you reading something good? Like, what is the inspiration in addition to the why that's keeping the engine moving, giving you the gas to keep going?
Yeah, I think you said something interesting is the spiritual component. I think, real estate is an industry there's so much stress, so much pressure on you every day, not just from the pressure that you get from your clients, because you have such an important moment in their lives, this deal in your hands, and they're relying on you to get it across the finish line and to get it done for them. There's pressure there. There's outside pressure. A lot of people, there's a huge magnifying glass on all real estate agents because it's so public of what you're doing, how well you're doing. So it's constantly that pressure. But I think for me, what really settled my mind is about 5 years ago, I made my way back to church. I go to Bahamas Harvest. And Pastor Mario has been great. I actually got back to church because one of my great friends, Lindsay Ward, invited me to church for her birthday. But this church that I went to, it was a lot of people my age. It was very upbeat. The message was very relevant to where I was in life at that time. And I've just been consistently going to church for the last 5 years. But I think it's that level of faith that's so important, that, not trying to control things that are out of your control. That's huge. Because there's a lot of things in life that are out of your control that a lot of people put their mind and their energy towards, that I've just completely removed. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If it's in God's plan, it's in God's plan. But I think it's that level of faith that's important, having that as a core part of your mind, your spirit, your soul, and just knowing, going through life, just put in the hard work. And, if your faith is strong, everything will work out for what's planned for you.
That's so powerful. I met with, a client, and she's just ticked all the boxes, right? Like house before 30, career level, master's degree, like all the things that they say that you should do. And she's done it. And she just has this sense of, okay, well, I've done all these things. No, I don't have a husband and kids. Not really my desire. But I also feel kind of empty. And I'm like, well, where are you spiritually? And she's like, not really my thing. And I'm like, aha. And that's what's missing for you, because you can get all the things and say, go by the world's list of standards. But if you don't have something grounding you and keeping you at your core, you're always going to be searching, right?
For sure.
And so I think that's beautiful that you're willing to share that, Tim, how important your faith has been to you, and that it keeps being a driving force for you. All right, let's play a fun game. Okay, so this is kind of like this or that. You might have seen them do it on TikTok. And this is going to be our real estate version of this. And it is for the Bahamas specifically, okay? So I call it real estate roulette. Well, I don't like roulette. Roulette sounds violent. Nevertheless, we're going to have fun with it. Okay. Do you choose oceanfront in Nassau or secluded island retreat?
Is the secluded island retreat on the beach?
No, but it overlooks the ocean.
I'm picking oceanfront in Nassau.
Oceanfront in Nassau. Okay. So if it was on the beach in secluded island retreat, you would choose that one.
I probably would still choose Nassau.
Okay, so you're a city man. All right. Okay. For you as a real estate agent, do you prefer historic colonial estate or modern luxury villa?
Modern luxury villa.
Okay. Okay. Why is that, sir?
My personal preference is modern.
Okay.
I think if I did do something colonial, it would still have to have a modern flair on it. So it'd be kind of like a blend, but there has to be a certain touch of modern in it for me personally. That's not everyone's taste, but that's for me.
Okay. Okay. From an investment perspective, investing in a bustling tourist hotspot or an up and coming quiet community?
I would invest in an up and bustling tourist location.
Tourist location. Okay. Airbnb or hotel?
I do hotel. If I had the funds, I do hotel.
Okay. Why?
Outside of real estate, a lot of people ask me if I wasn't in real estate, what I would be doing. I actually have a passion for like hospitality.
Okay.
So I think if I wasn't in real estate, I would be in hospitality. You know, I like to do events. I like to do, hotel esque service projects. So maybe that's something else in my future.
Yeah.
That I could invest in, but that's definitely a passion of mine.
Okay. So back to the game. Renovate a traditional Bahamian home or develop a new eco-friendly resort?
I would develop a eco-friendly resort.
Okay. Do you think that's the way of the future?
I think so. The way that the future is going, I think, technology is becoming so advanced. You're starting to see even the satellite internet with Starlink, with Elon is doing. You're starting to see a lot more solar. A lot of people are coming off the grid. So I think it will go that route. I think in the Bahamas, we are a bit behind in terms of our energy resources and the way that we're gathering energy. So I do think years down the line, that's the way we're going to go.
Okay. Final question. Exclusive beach club membership or own a private beach?
Own a private beach.
Own a private beach. Okay. All right. Well, that was fun learning more about you, Tim, and your choices. I think before we go, I kind of want to know if there's anything else that you want to tell the world. You obviously do have a lot of people that follow you. A girlfriend of mine was like, and this was long before you and I really connected, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "You don't follow Tim Smith on TikTok?" I was like, "I'm not on TikTok." She's like, "No, girlies tell you like everything but selling houses." And I was like, "Okay, you gotta sell one?" No, but I just love to follow him. So people follow you, they know your name in the space, and they love you. But what is something that you may want to leave with someone? There's, a young guy out there, maybe a young woman who's interested in real estate. What do you really want them to know about what's possible in their future?
Yeah, I think you made a good point. I think, a lot of people have started to follow me over the last couple of years. They love my story. I think the reason I've gotten so much support over the past couple of years is because a lot of people identify with me and I take them along with me into, these homes, these communities that a lot of people probably in their life never may see because it's just out of reach, unfortunately, in the Bahamas. So I get to share my successes, my experiences with a lot of people by taking the camera with me. I think they also identify and relate with me because I am a Bahamian. I look a little different than what you usually see in the luxury real estate space. So it's just to see a familiar face, somebody that's relatable, that they're seeing in the same spots. We hang out in the same spots. I look, sound, feel the same way as them. And it's just somebody who they consider as their own that is having success in a space that, they might not identify with a lot of people in that space. So I think that's really the reason a lot of people have followed and identify with me. I think also, the story, anyone comes up to me, I'm always willing to share with them. I treat everybody the same when I'm out in public. And I think that's how I'm always going to be, no matter where my career goes, no matter what happens in my life, because I know where I came from. And anywhere in the world I go, I always wear the Bahamas on my heart. I try to broadcast that I'm from the Bahamas, put Bahamas on the map. I always try to represent as best as I can. So I think it's that spirit of pride for the Bahamas that I share with a lot of people, and anywhere that I go, I share that with anyone that I meet. So I think that's a lot of the reason why I get the support that I get. But what I would say, leaving people off with, is just don't limit your mind to what you can achieve in life. You know, some of the things that I've been able to achieve, or what I worried about 2 or 3 years ago, now I'm looking at it was like, why was I stressing about that, right? Like right now, where I am 3 years later is kind of like so minuscule, but in that moment I was stressing about it. So it's just open your mind up, and once you start to really actually believe you can do something, it actually becomes so much more achievable if you actually believe it and open your mind to the concept that it's possible.
Yeah. When you are in your darkest moments, roughest waters you going through, what kept you going?
What did keep me going? I don't think I have it in my spirit to quit. Okay. I think naturally that's just somebody who I am. Those people who have been around me since I was young, I grew up playing a lot of sports. I just hate to lose. I love to win, and I'm very competitive. So I think it's that competitive nature in me that doesn't allow me to quit until I achieve what I've set my mind to. And my mom brought it up to me the other day. She said, you always were so decisive and knew what you wanted, and you were always gonna go after it regardless of what people said. So she just always reminded me, even when I was at a young age, that I displayed those kinds of characteristics. So to answer your question, I think I naturally just don't have the quit in me. Yeah. I love to win. I hate to lose. And business is technically a sport. I think I watch a lot of podcasts that business is actually the greatest sport out there. It's very competitive. Those who have had success in business have won in their industries. And I think that's where it comes from for me.
Let's talk about putting a team together. What characteristics do you look for in your teammates? Is it all the same characteristics that you already have?
Very early on, I thought that I had to do everything on my own. But a few years into it, I really understood how powerful it is to have a great team around you, as well as to have great people around you. That's huge. You talk about being in your darkest moments, and you have the right people around you to take you out of those moments and to breathe life into you, who have your best interests at heart. So I've been very selective with the people that I keep very close to me. A lot of people see that I have a lot of people around me at sometimes, but the people who I let into my inner circle, I'm very protective of, because I need to maintain my mental space as well as to maintain the circle around me that they have my best interests at heart. But I think you're only as good as the team you have around you, because now I'm starting to realize, as business is starting to increase, I don't have as much time as I did starting out. So my time is now becoming very limited. The value of an hour of my time is becoming more valuable. So you have to be able to delegate to people to take some of the load off of you. Even in this room today, you know, there's people in here who have been influential in my journey. New additions that are doing a great job, but I'm constantly trying to put the pieces together and to have the formula of the correct team so that I could continue to grow, so that I could continue to be focused on what I'm good at, what I need to do to be successful, and they just be the supporting cast to me to not only help me mentally, but to help me succeed in my daily tasks.
Yeah. Can women make it in real estate?
I think
not just make it, but do well.
You know, I think women are in a position to really do very well in real estate. I think, you know, I think a lot of people, if you see these shows, and again, I don't watch a lot of these real estate shows, but real estate is a very luxurious, sexy industry, and it's just naturally that women, as beautiful as they are, being in these large homes, if they put themselves out on social media, that people will follow them when it comes to real estate, as well as women have a characteristic that, people just love to be around them. Mm-hmm. So I think real estate is a people's business where, you're forming connections, you're forming relationships, you're constantly on the go speaking to people. And I think women are in a position to do very well in the industry. And I think it just takes a strong woman. I think if you are in the industry, you command that you know what you're talking about, that you're an expert, and you just command the respect, mm-hmm. that you'll be very successful as a woman in real estate.
If someone wanted you to be their mentor, how should they present themselves to you? What sort of characteristics, again, should they have if they are seeking your mentorship in this space?
So a lot of people reach out to me for mentorship in the space. I get probably over 10 requests a week. Yeah. And I just, at this phase in my life and in my career, I don't have the time to do it for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I try my best to make myself available to people maybe an hour out of the day through TikTok lives, mm-hmm. on social media. I'm mm-hmm. starting to film a lot of educational content to be available to people so that maybe I don't have to be in front of you face to face for you to get access to the knowledge, mm-hmm. that you want from me, mm-hmm. because I want to share it. Mm-hmm. Everything that I've learned this far, I've been open to share. I've only gotten to this point because somebody has shared it with me. Mm-hmm. So I think for now, in my capability and my time restraints, I've been making myself available through lives on TikTok, on social media, that people tune in, ask me any question they want. It doesn't have to be about real estate. It could be about life. It could be about me. And I answer for them. But, I think anyone who works on my team at my company at this time, my line is always open. My door is always open when I'm in the office. So they have full access to me. And a lot of them pick my brain, and I, share any knowledge that I have with them. Okay.
Final question. Mm-hmm. You're single, Tim. Mm-hmm. Tim, I know a lot of girls who don't want to be single, Tim. Mm-hmm. So what does it take for somebody to allow you to sweep them off their feet?
Yeah, I think I am single, and me being single allows me a lot of flexibility in terms of my time, which has gotten me to this point that I am today. I could leave my house at 9:00 at night to go meet with a client for dinner. Mm-hmm. I could, if somebody calls me, come and meet this person at 10:00 at night, I could get changed very quickly and go. Mm-hmm. It gives me that flexibility. It also gives me the time to just work. I mean, when I go home at night, I eat dinner in front of my computer. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And I work up until I go to sleep. So it's not anybody at home with me that I have to have conversation with. So it gives me flexibility of time. But to your point, I think it would have to take somebody very special, because it will have to require me to allocate some of my time to them. Mm-hmm. But also it'd have to be somebody who's very understanding of my schedule and what I'm trying to achieve and my goals. I will say I did lose a few great girls, mm-hmm. in my past, mm-hmm. because of my availability and just, my commitment to work, which is unfortunate, but, life is life. But I do think what's in store for me is out there. Mm-hmm. Again, having faith in God's plan for me. I will meet the right person, but it would have to be somebody who's supports me, is in line, and supports my goals, as well as supports my schedule.
Awesome. Well, Tim, this has been so awesome. I've learned so much about you, and again, I love that you shared that you put your content out there for the world to see. Like, mm-hmm. pick my brain, come on the live with me. I will answer any question. That is so beautiful as a leader, to commit your time to just helping others to learn and grow. And even your time today, mm-hmm. committing to sharing what it takes to be a part of the 1%. The fact that you do need to focus, that you've got to be disciplined. You have to be courageous. In our house, my husband and I joke all the time that we hate losing more than we love winning, right? Because we're competitive as well.
Yeah.
But that competitive drive is necessary to see the deal through. And then through it all is this underlying tone of faith and then genuine care and concern for the people that you serve.
For sure.
And so I hope that those are some of the lessons that you learned, whatever it is that you heard today that you love. Make sure that you share it in a comment whenever Tim is on live again. Make sure that you remind him of something he said here if you want to learn more about it. And of course, if this helped you, share it with someone else. But Tim, thank you so much for your time today. And
thank you
for pursuing this and showing us what's possible and being committed to coming back again and again and being in the 1%. And we trust that you already are the global force. And we're just going to see that force expand. So thank you.
Thank you, Star. I appreciate it.
Bye.
See you.